The Kebbi state government has appeared before the Senate Committee on Local and Foreign Debt to defend its claim in respect to the road project executed on behalf of the federal government. The Governor Abubakar Atiku Bagudu-led Kebbi state government, who is seeking reimbursement of funds it spent in construction of two federal roads in the state, represented by the Commissioner of Works and Transport Alhaji Abubakar Ladan, said the roads were federal government owned contrary to claim in some quarters.
So this meeting is actually scheduled to enable us hear from you your footnotes on the promising note that the federal government is owing Kebbi State. You are welcome to this meeting. It will be very fast. Of course, promising note program is one of the programs that the federal government has put in place to reimburse state governments who carry out federal government projects. We are looking at the construction of Malado, Garin, Baka, Gaski Road, with 3 number bridges, and the construction of Dabai, Mahuta, Koko Road, with 4 bridges. So, I wanted to address us on these 2 items.
The 2 roads in contention, as mentioned by the chairman, the first one is Dabai Mahuta Koko Road, which is a 91-kilometer road. This road was constructed between 2006 and 2011, and by the 2 previous administrations of Kebbi State. The road was initiated in 2005 December, but the contract documents were signed in February 2006 by His Excellency Governor Senator Muhammad Adamu Aleru. He was the initiator of that project, but due to time, it was inherited by the man who succeeded him, Governor Saidu Usmana Samud Akingadi, and he completed that in 2011 at the cost of a little over 5 billion naira. And this was a fresh road. There was no road existing in that area when it was constructed, except some laterite. Only 1 kilometer has surface dress as at that time, but 43 kilometers were made up of laterite road, and another 50 kilometers was a mere bush road that were there, totaling about 91 kilometers. So it was a fresh road constructed, initiated by Senator Adamu, and it was completed in 2011 by Saidu Nasamu. The second road is the Malando Garimbaka in Gaski. It's a 42-kilometer road, also 100% constructed and completed by Governor Saidu Usmana Samud Akingadi. It was also a virgin road constructed by the state government. And the records, which means this government came and these roads were completed by the previous governments. Nothing, it was not done by this government. I know this government made some efforts to do some rehabilitation works on both the 2 roads, but those amounts we spent were not included in the money to be reimbursed by the federal government. We only submitted requests for reimbursement of the original sum spent by the 2 previous governors of the state. So in 2016, when the state government discovered that state governments were being reimbursed for the work they did on the federal roads. We submitted our request to the Federal Ministry of Works in 2016 for consideration of reimbursement. In fact, at that time, we included 3 additional roads, which this administration rehabilitated. But when we approached Federal Ministry of Works, they said it is only roads that were constructed before 2015 that are qualified to be reimbursed. Otherwise, the new government, President Buhari, has ordered that any state that wanted to reconstruct any road must seek presidential approval before embarking. So since we did them without presidential approval, those roads were not considered for reimbursement. So only these 2 roads that were constructed before 2015 that were considered. And the Federal Ministry of Works sent in engineers. We gave them our engineering design, and they went over to these roads, and they found that, yes, they were really constructed according to our specification, and they recommended that they should be approved for the reimbursement, which at a later date in 2020, September, they did, and said, but subject to approval of the Federal Executive Council, which then it recommended to the Federal Executive Council for consideration. And this year, the Federal Executive Council considered and approved this request on 7 September 2022. And that's the reason why, because there was no budget in and the liquidity problem, I think the federal government sent for approval to the National Assembly to pay us, along with some 2 other states, to do promissory notes. And that's why we are here to present the cases. We submitted documents earlier. Each of the roads has 2 copies. One with the quotations by the companies, the analysis of the quotations of the companies, the recommendation for the company to be awarded, and the tenders board consideration and the contract award, and the records of payments made to all these companies, and finally, letters written by the same companies that they were paid their money, us and the Wendu, and they are not we are not indebted to the 2 companies. The other copies of the Sun Roads has pictures of all the works that were done. As at that time, we had pictures. Luckily, the ministry has records of the pictures that were taken in the course of the construction and their completion. And so also all the 2 roads have 2 copies each, which we submitted 15 copies to the Senate. None of us on this side were there when these roads were constructed. Government is a business in progress. We inherited it, and we have to depend whatever is there.
It was established that Kebbi state government had requested for a refund of 7 billion from the federal government for the construction of Maladongeri, Bakagaske Road and Dobei Hahuta Koko Road.
The first road was constructed at about 5 billion naira. The second one was about 2 billion naira, because they expunge state road portion in the contract, that is Township Road in Ngaski, were not part of the federal government road, so it was expunged. So the amount moved down from 7 billion to 6.7 billion naira. That's why we have the difference of the 2.
I am sure the crown witness of this project is distinguished Senator Alero Adamu, our colleague. When he was governor, he appended his signature on opening this new road for the people. And he's also here to say the road was not done or it was properly done. I am sure his silence in observing the proceeding means that he was part of the people that wanted this job, and this job was done also appropriately. So I don't think we need to ask too many questions. We have been here to approve several billions of naira for such other roads that are done in other parts of the country. So, Mr. Chairman, my suggestion is we allow you to go and approve it, since the federal government has already approved. Our colleague, Mr. Naira, is also here. He was part of the construction of this road, and if he's a witness to it, I don't think we will have too many questions to ask.
We were told that this road is not passable. So, have you any comment to that? They said the road is not even passable. The people are collecting this money in the form. That is very bad. And it was not done. That was what was debated in the floor of the Senate.
When it was completed, it was a surface dress road with laterite base. And when it was completed, it was a very good road. But it has been there for the last 11 years. And due to usage, it developed potholes here and there. And then we requested our engineering department to go and check why was the road getting bad so quickly after when it should have lasted for at least 20 years, but after 11 years, it started to have problems. And we conducted some soil tests in some locations, and we discovered that the area, most of the area has limestone-based formation, which has made it very unstable. So that's why it quickly developed some potholes around the line. So we recommended that anytime next construction is going to happen, it should be stone-based formation rather than laterite formation because of the nature of the area.
When you did the first construction, didn't you carry out a survey and also isolated post analysis of the various sections of the road? Did you not also ascertain the kind of materials you need to do the work? Or you just went and do from your own head, just did the road? Because if you do it according to the engineering design, you are now indicting yourself that after you did the work, the road was good and you are expecting it to last for 20 years. Now it is bad. That means that you did not do a proper and good construction works. That's the meaning. Can you prove and exonerate yourself?
From the records we read in the files, we discovered that when the railroad was designed, it was designed in A and B. A, laterite base, and B, stone-based formation. But due to the higher cost, because the stone-based formation would have cost about close to 7 billion naira, while the lateral formation is in the region of just 500 or 5 billion naira. So due to paucity of fund, the state government decided to go with the less costly option, which is option A of 5 billion, because we didn't have 7 billion to do the project due to the cost. So we had to go for the lesser cost according to availability of the funds. That's why we had to go for the laterite base for construction. But it was purely due to lack of money. But we had a recommendation of A and B options.
The upper chamber had refused to consider the sum of 7 billion refund requested by Kebbi state government for the same purpose due to the failure to appear before the Senate panel to defend the request. Making his submission before the committee, Ladan said the two roads in contention were constructed between 2006 and 2011 by the previous administration in the state.
What we are talking about now is not as to every information that has to do with the processes and the procedures, are in our custody. And we have seen that all the parties involved, Federal Ministry of Works, all the monitoring agencies have approved that this job, was actually was approved and done by Kebbi State government.
Page TV News, Abuja.